Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Talking Transformers Toys, the show where myself and Andy talk about transforming toys, because that's the stuff that we love. And we thought we would follow up last week's inaugural episode when we talked about Megatronus, aka the Fallen, with another one of the 13 primes. Andy, who are we talking about today?
Well, seeing as we did Megatronus in the last episode, it only makes sense that we have his main squeeze, Solus Prime, this time around. So we are going to have a look at Solus Prime.
Yes, I have her here in vehicle mode, and let me tell you, I should be commended for this. Spoilers for later on. But as always, let's talk about the robot mode. You've got her in robot mode. A beautiful robot mode.
Like you said, spoiler alert, but we will say it now. This is definitely what you're buying this figure for. It's an excellent robot mode, very well articulated. It looks great. Yeah, it's just another really strong robot mode, following on from Megatronus, of course, who we looked at last time. What's your favourite parts of it, would you say? What is it that appeals to you about it?
I adore the colours on her. I think they look absolutely fantastic. I love the gold highlights. I love the purple on it. I I love the head sculpt. I think the head sculpt looks incredible. And coupling her with her weapon of choice, the Solus hammer, I guess it is, she just looks great. For a deluxe toy, and I don't know if it's the hammer itself, but for a deluxe toy, she just looks clean.
Yeah.
Cuts a very striking silhouette. Yeah, I think absolutely wonderful in all regards, to be honest.
Yeah, I think I've seen some people who are aficionados of the 13 primes who've said that the Forge of Solus Prime, the hammer, is maybe a little bit small for some people's tastes because if other bots are to use it, they wanted it to be a bit bigger. But I think it works perfectly for her, and it's her weapon, so it should really be scaled for her. And yeah, the color scheme is excellent, but the head sculpt is again just another absolute banger. Definitely one of those kind of bot modes that you just want to get on your shelf. And she does look very good alongside Megatronus, despite being obviously a bit smaller. But they just really look really nice together. There's not many negatives to the robot mode. The backpack is probably something we should mention quickly. Just because I think we both had a bit of an issue at first trying to figure that one out.
I think we've both established, haven't we, that the backpack should be down in robot mode because
Yes,
then it will tab in. But when
that's
you
right.
do that, it kicks it out at the back. And as I say, it breaks up the cleanness, I think, of the silhouette. Whereas I prefer having it untabbed and pushed up at the hinge joint so that,
It's cleaner
yes,
then,
she
yeah.
gets a bit of a collar on the back, but I just think it looks nicer.
Yeah. And it will stay there. It will stay there fairly happily. You can move it. I agree with you. I think it's kind of that to me looks nicer. And even when you look at it from the front, she's got, like you said, that little bit of a collar now.
Hmm.
And it's not a major problem that it will move a little bit. But that's obviously, according to the instructions, and what you're supposed to do is to drop it down lower and then tab it in. But then that leaves the windshield of the car just sticking out at the back of it. It's the vehicle mode. So, yeah, I prefer it like you, with it more like that, so it's just a bit cleaner. But I think
Yeah.
I think that's probably it's not much of a complaint, is it? when you really think about it,
No,
like for the robot mode, it's not. It's nothing too massive at all.
in terms of the posability on the figure, I think it's wonderful. I love, just like I say, the streamlined nature of her. There was one thing that was bugging at me throughout, messing around with it, and I couldn't quite put my finger on it for quite a while. I was feeling like there was definitely something missing, but I just couldn't figure it out. And it wasn't until a couple of days later, after handling her, that I realized what I was missing was that I was missing some kind of faction logo.
Ah,
There's,
yes.
and it was a weird thing. And to be honest, now that I've realized what it was that was bugging me, it doesn't actually bug me anymore because I understand why she doesn't have one. But overall, a great figure. I love the fact that they've segmented her. I hesitate to call it a skirt, but her loincloth.
Yeah.
uh, I love that that's been segmented out so that it gives you a few more posing options in terms of the robot mode. But overall, like, yeah, I love the streamlined nature. And again, just to talk about it again, I think that head sculpt is wonderful. It's so nice when I guess the Hasbro designers really have a lot more freedom to design a head sculpt for a character, because yes, we've seen Solus before, but there's a lot more freedom to redesign to the overall figure itself, which I definitely think you're seeing in robot mode.
Yeah, I agree completely, and you can tell the effort's been really put into that. That's it's a really nice looking, well designed toy. Um, and the head sculpt is exceptional, and yeah, the robot mode is very strong on this, which following on from
Hmm.
Megatronus is really good to see. Gives you a bit of hope from the other primes. Of course, not everything is necessarily completely positive.
So I've got it here in vehicle mode, and it is nothing really.
Yeah.
It is. Do you know what I think the biggest problem I have with this is? That I think this vehicle mode actively works against the robot mode. And what I mean by that is that she's supposed to be some kind of Cybertronian truck. She's big at the front, heavy duty, everything is tight and compact. It gives a sense of being beefy and strong and all of that. But I think that's counterintuitive to the sleek robot, sort of more streamlined look that that her robot mode represents. And so it feels like this is a vehicle mode for a totally different character.
Yeah, I get what you mean, definitely. And I think it feels I don't know if it sounds a bit harsh, but it feels a little unfinished almost. There's a lot of gaps to it, and
Mm,
it kind of feels like that they didn't quite fill everything in. So it looks all right from the front. Like when you look at it from the front, it's not so bad.
mm.
But as you kind of work your way down the vehicle mode, it gets kind of progressively messier a little bit. It's not
Yeah,
it's not the best if we're being completely honest.
head disappears, hands disappear, the upper part of the body, all tabs in, and then you get to the back of it, and there's the legs,
Basically, yes.
and there's the knees, there's the ankles, there's the feet. It's just sort of, it's like, yeah, we came up with half a transformer.
Yeah, half an alt mode. That's all we can
Yeah,
do.
and again, talking about this skirt piece here, which it just lays across the back, and it doesn't really do much. I mean, it goes up, but again, it goes up, and you could be like, oh well, it's kind of like a spoiler, but it's like, yeah, but the front half of this is a powerful, beefy truck. It just doesn't work. Like, it really doesn't. And that's really disappointing. And it's not really, I think, until you get her into vehicle mode as well that you start noticing, once again, we're dealing with different shades of plastic that's painted versus plastic that's molded. So again, you get this breakup of colors. I don't know how well people can see that, but obviously the purple that's on the bonnet versus the purple that's on the shoulders. And I guess really the issue is because this whole piece is just on her back, so you don't notice it really in robot mode, but it's really striking in robot mode.
Yeah, in the alt mode, it's definitely more noticeable. The slight different shades of the purple, and I don't know. It's not the worst alt mode I've ever seen on a bot at all. I think it's still many levels above, say, reflector mold that we got in Siege, where the alt mode was just
Mm,
kind of a block. But it does feel just a little bit. It's a car mode because we just say it's a car mode and it'll be
yeah.
fine, and that's fine, I suppose. Again, I think we discussed this last time. I'm definitely more of a bot mode displayer of my toys anyway, so it's not a major issue. But yeah, it's just the one thing. Well, one of the things that just stops this from being a really, really great toy.
Let's talk about the transformation and getting her from robot mode into bot mode. Oh, I yeah. I said that the robot is clean and tight, but unfortunately, that cleanness and that tightness really comes to bite this figure in the transformation.
It's unfortunately just one of those transformations where it's so fiddly at points, and
Mm,
it's when it becomes more of a chore than something you're actually enjoying doing. And I know before we started recording, and you were getting yours into alt mode, and
mm.
yeah, you kind of you don't want to be getting frustrated with your transformers when you're transforming them,
No,
and she's a little bit guilty of that.
it's the shoulders. So, just before we started recording, I was transforming this into vehicle mode, and I managed to get one of the shoulders in absolutely perfect. No problem whatsoever. It was absolutely fine. And there's some interesting things going on with the transformation. The fact that these shoulder pads that she has are on these swivel joints, multiple swivel joints, in order to allow it to be able to line up with the front of the truck. There's panels that you need to move out. It's not a basic transformation by any means. But then I came to the other side and I was, I'm looking at it, I'm seeing that things seem to be exactly where they should be, and yet I was having so much trouble with one side of her, just trying to get everything to line up. And when I'm trying to do that and I'm having to apply what I think to be unnecessary force, that's a concern for me.
I agree. Yeah, I think that is an issue with it. It's the tolerances are just there's not a lot of clearance on certain parts of the transformation. Some of the
Mm,
tabs or the bits that are supposed to tab in, they don't necessarily tab in cleanly or securely, and you
mm,
find sometimes that you get one part in, like you said, you get one side of it done, lovely, nice and easy, and then the other side just kind of will not go in there and will not hold together quite properly. You get there in the end,
yeah.
but it's not a lot of fun.
No, in fact, I don't really find any joy in transforming this. It's one that I'm going to struggle to remember how to transform in a month's time because I have no interest in actually doing it. And that's a shame because that is the purpose of the Transformers line. As good as a robot might be, I would much rather have a blockies. you know. So yeah, it disappointing on mode, a very uh, poor transformation, I would say. Whereas I felt with Megatronus that sometimes when parts popped off, it was my fault because I hadn't quite nailed exactly what steps I needed to take in what order. In this instance, when panels pop off, I feel like it's entirely the fault of the figure.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. It's just the way that the transformation is, unfortunately. And it sounds like we're being quite negative, I suppose, in a way. But we should reiterate again: the robot mode is excellent, um,
Yes.
and that's certainly it. I'd say personally, it's worth picking her up just for that. But you may find, like we did, that the transformation and the alt mode are a little lacking, shall we say? That's a kind way of putting it. Um,
Hmm.
but certainly that bot mode is excellent.
The bot mode is excellent. I love the accessory. I love the hammer. Like as you mentioned, people complaining, oh, it's a bit too small, but it's an accessory for a deluxe figure. It can't
Exactly.
exactly be much bigger. If I were recommending this, I would say if you can get this on sale for sub £20 here in the UK, I would be inclined to say that's the way to go for her. It's not one that I think is going to bring a lot of people a lot of fun, except if you're into posing your figures and taking photographs of really cool looking robot modes, then that's cool. But if you're into the whole transformation thing, it just doesn't work for me, unfortunately. Great robot mode, but don't go out of your way to like get it day one.
If you're not a massive fan of the primes and you're not desperate to have them all, then this is probably one you could wait and probably not definitely, but probably it will come down in price and you'll be able to pick it up a little bit cheaper because that
Yeah.
transformation, that alt mode, unfortunately, just let it down a bit. But the bot mode is excellent. So yeah, although a blocky, as you said, a blocky could do that job, I suppose. But I like it. I wouldn't say it's a full recommend because of the transformation and the alt mode.
Yeah. On that bum note, that's a little disappointing because, I really was holding out hope that these were all going to be exceptional. And don't get me wrong, for that robot mode, it is exceptional, but everything else is just a little bit disappointing. But having said that, let us know what you think. Did you pick up Solus? What did you think? Are we wrong? Is the transformation really easy for you, and are we just getting it wrong? Who knows? But let us know in the comments down below. Thank you all very much for tuning in to another episode. If you would be so kind as to give this video a like and subscribe, we will be back with more content coming soon. So thank you all very much for tuning in to another episode of Totally Transformers Toys. Say goodbye, Andy.
Goodbye, everybody.
Take care, everyone. Bye.